evening. I'm Petros Soukoulias. The other people say that I'm an expert. Okay, I do know some things on technology, and I have spent more than 40 years on IT and lately in electronics. So yes, I consider myself to be an expert, but day by day, reading more and discussing more, I come to the conclusions that Socrates, the old Greek, did, that I always have time to learn more. I will be the coordinator for this discussion, of which the title is Intelligent Cities of the Future, from Smart to Intelligent. The webinar, the event, has two parts. First part is a discussion panel session, and the second one is a networking and matchmaking session, or in other words, breaking out rooms. The objective is to speak about and try to understand the city's transition from being smart to become intelligent. Simple to say, difficult to do. You will allow me, before going further, to introduce our host, Mr. Panagiotis Tsandilas, the General Secretary at Hellenic Association of Innovative Applications Companies, who is also co-founder and CEO of Palo Services, mentor at Archimedes, the Athens University Accelerator and Technology Transfer, and a member of the Hellenic Artificial Intelligence Society. Since I have the information that the intelligent cities of the future, there will be no surnames, so I will use only your Christian names. You will allow me. So, Panagiotis, you have the floor.
Hey, thank you very much, Petro. It's an honor for me to be here with such an excellent, great speakers, and with a lot of attendees. So, as a ΣΕΚΕΕ, we are part of this project we call C2Future. It's an initiative from the European Union. And we definitely believe in ΣΕΚΕΕ that we should go farther fast from smart cities to intelligent cities. And we would like to be an intelligent world, let's say, finally. And the cities is a part of this intelligent world. So our members in the ΣΕΚΕΕ could contribute in this intelligent world. We do have tech companies that serve intelligence in Greece and in general. So thank you very much for being here. And I wish a very successful matchmaking event. Thank you.
We thank you, Panagiotis, and we thank you, the Hellenic Association of Innovative Applications Companies, for their hosting. I would like to welcome Mrs. Dana Eleftheriadou, who is the head of the Citizen Proximity Team at the European Commission, DG, Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and SMEs. Dana steers European Union policy development on intelligent cities, advanced technologies, artificial intelligence, with the view to foster Europe's technological and industrial leadership and drive the green and digital transition and social welfare. She designed the Intelligent Cities Challenge initiative, which helps over 130 EU cities to lead a green and digital recovery with the support of cutting-edge technologies. She spearheads work on the Tech for Good initiative designed to advance social, environmental, and economical causes and on local green deals. She served as a EU coordinator of the high-level group Strategic Policy Forum on Digital Entrepreneurship and negotiated EU positions in the national dialogues such as the G7 ICT and Industry Ministerial and the G20 Dialogue for Innovative Growth. She is also co-author of the World Economic Forum Global IT Report and member of the World Economic Forum Digital Leaders Group. Dana Eleftheriadou holds an MBA from Université Libre de Bruxelles, to test our French, Mechanical Engineering and BS Engineering in Computer Engineering from University of Patras, and a diploma in philosophy from MIT, United States of America. This is a very short summary of the bio of Dana. So you can understand, if we need to talk about the whole one, we should spend the whole day. Dana, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much, Petro, for this very complete introduction. And it's my honor to be here with you and share some of the way of thinking and some of the knowledge we have acquired in the European Commission through dealing with cities. Actually, we are learning from cities a lot. So if I can show my slides, I would first of all guide you through what I plan to cover today. It's already in the next slide on how cities are practically leading the green and digital transition of the local economy and society. So I plan to guide you through the current big challenges that our cities have to face, but also the urban trends. That's already in the next slide. Then talk about the work we are doing in the Intelligent Cities Challenge, namely the local green deals and the efforts on up and reskilling of the local economy. And finally, I will guide you through the role and the potential of technology in helping cities provide solutions to the most pressing challenges. With this, I would start in the next slide with first of all, setting the scene, why we're speaking about cities, why are we dealing with that? The European Union, as all of you know, the European Union consists of 80,000 cities and towns. They occupy only 3 to 4% of the land on Earth, but they are home to 70% of European citizens. They're responsible for 80% of GDP, but they are also responsible of 80% of energy consumption, 75% of carbon greenhouse gas emissions, and also they are responsible and accountable for the implementation of the European policies and legislation. About 70% of European legislation is being implemented in cities. However, also about 1/3 of public spending is happening in cities. So cities are crucial administrative units that help with the implementation of everything that we are deciding at European and global level. In the next slide, I would like to, speaking about major challenges, I would like to focus on just one, and that's the climate change. And yesterday only, the UN published a report about the climate change and the state of play. And with this report, among other things, it invited us to rethink cities in order to be able to combat climate crisis. For me, this is the biggest challenge our society has to face, is facing, and has to provide policy responses. It's practically, United Nations call it a now or never moment for the world to tackle the climate change. Within this, it invites cities to rethink the way they are designed, they are constructed, and they are managed. Practically, it invites cities to rethink about how to lower energy consumption, for example, through better energy efficiency, or by creating more compact, walkable, or cyclable cities. Of course, the electrification of transport or the decarbonization of transport, and also the decarbonization of the built environment. So replacing, repurposing, and retrofitting the building stock. All this is, all these findings, and I will let you discover the report by yourself, but they support practically new urban trends and human-centric city models, like the 15-minute city, that we have seen many cities in Europe adopting these models now, especially during the pandemic. The 15-minute city concept advocates practically that cities should reorganize themselves so that every citizen should have access to the major urban services and urban facilities in 15 minutes walking or cycling distance. Cities like Paris, Amsterdam, Milan, Barcelona are among those that are piloting this concept right now as a result of the call to respond to the pandemic crisis, although the concept is much older than this. I would like to say that also cities are very well positioned to deal with these challenges because they can, easier than at national level, can provide an integrated approach of different policies, infrastructure, technologies in order to respond to these challenges. There are also policy responses that call for different levels of governance. So when we are speaking about cities at the European Union level, we barely speak about the city authorities. We do not consider these challenges to be able to deal with at the level of the local authority or of the municipality only, but we see the cities as an integrated ecosystem where different stakeholders meet. And those are the local governments, local businesses, the citizens, the local education and knowledge institutions, and so on and so forth. So it's an integrated approach, an integrated governance that we require to tackle these problems, underpinned by strong stakeholders partnerships and, of course, substantial financing that goes much beyond the financing that currently municipalities can enjoy. I will come back to that in a moment. Last uptake from the report, from the UN report, is that although and despite all these efforts and talk about reducing the greenhouse gas emission, the reality is that the emissions have actually increased more than 50% between 1990 and 2019, and they are still increasing at global level. We are doing much better in Europe, but of course, climate is something that needs to be dealt at global level. So with this in mind, if I can have the next slide, of course, there are other challenges that cities are dealing on a daily basis, but I believe this big challenge of climate change is the one that leads the path. And now this has been topped up by the crisis of the pandemic crisis, and again, cities were in the forefront of dealing and asked to combat the crisis and having to deal with all the resources. If I can have the next slide, please. Right, this is where I would like to make the link with the what we are doing in the European Commission, namely the Intelligent Cities Challenge initiative, and as part of that, how we are supporting the cities with the local green deals and the up and reskilling of the local economy. So we can quickly go to the next slide. I would like to spend one moment on why we call that intelligent cities and not smart cities initiative. And that was a very thoughtful decision based on consultation of many thought and global thought leaders in this area. Actually, intelligent cities, or for a city to be intelligent, it needs to convey three different dimensions. The smart dimension, or the digital technology dimension, but also the green dimension and the resilience dimension. So it is those three dimensions that make a city intelligent. We don't want a city to have only a set of smart applications like smart parking or smart lampposts, because those by themselves cannot make the strategic transition that we want the cities to make. But if it is part of a holistic, integrated strategies that combines the green, smart, and resilient dimension, then this makes an intelligent city. So practically, the aim of the Intelligent Cities Challenge is to make the most from the advanced technologies for the green and digital recovery, but also for improving the social and climate resilience of the cities. Practically, we are working around 5 thematic priorities. I know time is limited, so I will not go in depth into this one, but just to give you a flavor, we are working with 136 small to medium cities to help them lead their transition towards a green economy and local green deals, but also work on the upskilling and reskilling of the local workforce of the city in order to cover the needs of the city. The third priority is to help them with the supply chains, logistics, and the economics of mobility, but also the citizens' engagement and digitization of public administration, and for cities that wanted to deal with the green and digital transformation in tourism, we also provided this dimension. In the next slide, I would like to go more in depth on the local green deals, because that's an important step of the work we are doing with cities. And this is practically, we are working with cities and help them join up existing strategies and legislation and market opportunities in order to create alliances. If I can have the next slide, please, on the local green deals. In order to help them create purposeful alliances of different stakeholders and deliver the European Green Deal at local level. The reason behind that, apart of course from the climate objectives that the local green deals help implement, is also that there is a market, a growing actually market interest for the sustainable products and services. Here there are some statistics that demonstrate actually that both talents, customers, but also businesses tend to be much more loyal or to seek more collaboration opportunities for sustainable businesses and sustainable companies. So there is a growing market there, but also when it comes to sustainable products, or also capital and investments are quickly increasing towards more sustainable businesses. So the market for sustainability is growing to justify also why a city should become greener. But also in the next slide, we are learning a lot from cities who are front runners in developing local green deals. I have in mind cities like Amsterdam, Mannheim, Milan, Nice, and learning from those, we develop a methodology and guidance and training for other cities on how to develop local green deals, and with this implement the European Green Deal at local level. So if I can have the next slide so I can coordinate. Thank you. So practically we developed this blueprint for action that you can find online. But the 4 founding principles I would like to share with you is practically at the level of governance, the local green deals necessitate an integrated governance across the different departments in the city. So the climate department, the environmental department, the digital department need to work together hand in hand in order to have an integrated governance for the city with integrated goals. But then the action is happening very much in partnerships and alliances with all stakeholders, with businesses, with industry, with citizens, with the knowledge institutions. And the focus of the local green deals is actually on action. So walking the talk, if you wish, from developing strategies to really implementing the actions on the ground together with the business community in order to deliver on the European Green Deal objectives. If I can have the next slide, please. I would like then to devote a few minutes to the issue, the major issue of reskilling and upskilling of the local workforce. This was already a major issue before the pandemic, but we are seeing now with the COVID crisis, this accentuated the need for mobility, for trans-sectoral mobility of the local workforce, where from, let's say, jobs that were becoming obsolete to where new skills and new jobs are being created. So COVID has accelerated this transition, but also the type of transition that we are speaking about, like the green transition, the digital transition. In order to be able to implement these transitions, you need the right skills. And these skills are not there. So we have big skills shortages. For example, it is estimated about 1.2 million jobs, new jobs, will be created in the green transition because of the green transition. But also it's estimated that we will need about 20 million ICT specialists in the coming years, which are not there. With this in mind, if I can have the next slide, please. We are seeing cities that are front runners in taking a hands-on approach on the reskilling and upskilling of their economy. And with this in mind, we have, again, learning from cities, we have created a guide for cities for reskilling and upskilling. I do not see the right slide now. It's the next slide. So they invite all of you to, to have a look after, if you are interested, to see how indeed cities are tackling the issue in a very professional way. And practically what we are learning from pioneering cities is that they are based on a very meticulous assessment of what type of skills they need at local level, and then working hand in hand with their academia, knowledge institutions, but also with industry in order to deliver the reskilling and upskilling of the workforce and prepare them, accompanying them until the job placement and make them work and keep the employment rate to areas where more skills are needed. A parenthesis here, we already see a lot of cities working or adapting their frameworks for reskilling in order to integrate the refugees fleeing the Ukrainian war, as they are looking to integrate them swiftly and increase the employment rate of the refugees. So if I can have the next slide. Would like now to speak also very quickly about the potential and the huge role of technology, especially in technology for good and artificial intelligence enabled applications. And if I can have the next slide, we are working as part of the Intelligent Cities Challenge on the Tech for Good, Technology for Good marketplace. And it's a marketplace that's meant to gather all technology-powered solutions and business models that are designed to advance economic, social, and environmental causes. We practically wish with this Tech for Good marketplace to help cities, but also economic players at local level and other stakeholders like social economy stakeholders to find solutions that would help them resolve the current challenges at local level. But we also help provide a marketplace and a window for local small and medium enterprises, social enterprises, tech entrepreneurs, and startups to promote solutions that they have developed that work well in their cities or their environment, and then can become visible for other cities. That's the idea behind. In the next slide, the Tech for Good marketplace is still under making. So we have about 54 cities that are demonstrating their solutions right now. There are more 75 technological solutions right now, but we hope to reach a much higher target very soon. And they are structured according to different city challenges like air quality, like cities responding to the COVID-19 crisis, or efficient management of water and waste management, and so on and so forth. But also in the next slide, you can find classification according to the different SDGs. So SDGs solutions are classified based on SDGs, and you can find the solutions that are working well with other cities according to the different SDGs. In the next slide, I have some a sample of different solutions that are applying now, that are demonstrated now in the Technology for Good marketplace. Those are solutions from monitoring the carbon footprint, the air quality in school districts, for example, to solutions for object detection and cleaning the environment. But this is only a small sample of what you can find there. And in the next slide, you will find more and more artificial intelligence-based solutions, like from AI for detection of cardiac arrests, for example, in emergency calls, or other AI solutions for measuring and monitoring beach attendance, for example, that was very useful during the COVID crisis, and much more. And with this, in the next slide, I would like to guide you through the new trend for local digital twins. I'm sure you are very well aware of those solutions. They are increasing rapidly. Practically, what is a local digital twins is a virtual replica of urban environments connected to both static and dynamic data sources that allow modeling of an urban environment, but also allow for simulation of different solutions that would allow us to improve decision-making before the solution is applied. It can have both a reactive role and help operational decisions, but also, and most important to my mind, a strategic long-term decision to help with urban planning, development, and infrastructure, environmental and climate monitoring, and much more. In the next slide, you can see some of the famous digital twins that are currently working in cities like Rotterdam, Helsinki, or Antwerp, but also Athens is participating in a European project together with Flanders and Pilsen to develop the digital twin of the city. In the next slide, I'm almost done with the solutions and what I would like to share with you, but I would like to spend 1 or 2 minutes still on the policy measures that we are developing. And in the next slide, just to demonstrate to you how complicated is the issue, I would like to show only this, that Intelligent Cities Challenge initiative that I'm currently describing is just one among these different policy initiatives, more than 40 different policy initiatives that are involving cities and involving 15 different directors general of the European Commission. It is a complicated environment and is not we are trying to coordinate actions between ourselves. Each Directorate General of the European Commission is trying to approach cities from a different policy perspective, but of course we try to keep a focus and coordination among ourselves. I would like also to mention in the next slide the current initiative about 100 climate neutral and smart cities. I know many Greek cities and also many European cities have applied for that. Actually, the aim here is to select 100 cities, European cities, that commit to reach climate neutrality by 2030 already. This is 20 years earlier than the continent climate neutrality objective by 2050. We are currently under the evaluation phase of this solution, and we will be able to announce the results by the end of April and work closely with them. With this, of course, there are many other initiatives and programs and funding programs, like the Digital Europe program, like the Horizon EU, but most important, the Recovery and Resilience Facility, the national recovery plans, but also the cohesion funds that have big shares for this type of initiatives that goes to cities directly. And I'm sure that other speakers may cover this area as well. With this, I would like to thank you very much and looking forward to an inspiring discussion. Thanks for having me here.
Okay, we thank you, Dana. Fine presentation with a lot of details, nice details, which we need time to elaborate with them and to try to fully understand the messages, the direct messages and the indirect messages that you have put on the table. But allow me to go on and introduce our distinguished panelists. Mr. Nikos Maroulis, he is partner and deputy director of the Brussels office of Technopolis Group. Nikos is the project manager of the 100 Intelligent City Challenge, the IACC, DG Growth, supporting 100 European and international cities to follow a green, smart, sustainable growth path by leveraging advanced technologies. More than 25 years of experience in the fields of policy design and evaluation, regional development and analysis of innovation system. He is a computer engineer from the University of Patras, and he has got he was conferred with an MSc in Science and Technology Policy from the SPRU University of Sussex, UK. You know, Nikos, that Sussex and Essex, once upon a time, they were fighting against each other. Jeff is a witness. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Will do.
Well, the flow, I will give you the flow, provided that I will present all the other, Nikos, I will come back. Professor Jeff French, it is a great honor we have him with us today. He is a global thought leader in the fields of behavioral influence and social marketing, social communication and program planning and evaluation. Jeff has published over 90 academic papers, 5 books, and numerous guides and toolkits on this subject. Jeff is a visiting professor at Brighton University and a fellow at King's College London University, and teaches at 4 other universities on a regular basis. Previously Director of Policy and Communication at the UK Health Development Agency. We are fantastic at counting the sick and dead, but much less adept on understanding the living. We will come back on this. This is coming from Jeff's book. Tom Katsoulas. Tom, welcome. We hope that we don't disturb with the difference of the hour.
No, I'm just back in meetings.
It's nice to see you again. You are a great Greek abroad, and we love to have you in our gathering. Tom is a technology executive with several years of operating and business experience in high tech, for Fortune 50 companies and startups. Currently, Tam is the chair of the Global Semiconductor Alliance, Trusted IoT Ecosystem Security, TIES, a collaboration platform for the IoT value chain. He is a computer engineer from the Bridgeport University with an MSc Electrical Engineer and Computer Science from the Massachusetts Amherst University, Associate Degree Marketing on Marketing and Product Management from Berkeley, and Executive Program in IoT Business Implication and Opportunities from the MIT Sloan School. Then we have Mr. Harry Kalliaras, a good friend of ours, and a very prompt guy to support our team in whatever we are doing. He is a strategist and business planning expert, advisor to the mayor of the city of Trikala. It's a very distinguished city in Greece. He is an engineer in geology from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki and with an MBA and an MSc in investment and regional development from University of Thessaly. Unfortunately, George Manolis from One Liti had an urgent professional involvement in Germany, so he won't join us today. Having said all this, in this part one of the event, part two actually, the panel discussion will be carried out as a game with questions and answers. I don't know if we have the time to play with questions and answers more than 2 rounds, but we will try. I'm going to make the questions, and the panelists will be asking for their own answers. For the time economy, each answer should be given with 222 seconds by each of the participants. Okay, you can calculate the time. We start. The flow is to Nikos Maroulis. As the coordinator of the Intelligent City Challenge, which involves more than 100 cities, as we said, he is going to focus and elaborate more on this issue. Nikos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Petros. I think already Dana gave a very exhaustive description of ICC and gave a lot of details. So in 2,000 seconds, it's not possible to match her description. But since the audience, I understand that are people from the ICT sector, a lot of them are from there. So I will try to pass some messages that comes out of the experience of ICC, of where the cities are going and what they're trying to do. So Dan already mentioned that in the ICC we have 5 main areas. These are areas that has been selected by the cities among a long list of possible areas of work. So it's not something that we select from them. They selected to work in that area, so it means something. I remind what are these areas. The most popular is the citizen participation and digitalization of public administration, and there is a reason for this to be more popular. There are cities that already are working on that area. However, the next one, which is also very important, it was something that we like to see. It was we are very pleased to see, is that the green economy and the development of local green deals has a lot of interest. And saying that, what the cities are doing in that area is to focus on green growth in a way that benefit both the economy and the society. The third area is the upskilling and reskilling. Dan explained a lot what we are trying to do there. The green and digital transformation in tourism also is it's a smaller area, mainly for cities selected by cities with tourism in the south and mainly in the south of Europe. and also the supply chains and logistics and mobility. From what Dan already said, and from what you can see also from the titles of these areas, we understand that the focus goes far beyond the development and use of some smart applications. Of course, smart applications and digital applications can be found in all the above areas. However, they are just a means to a much broader end. It's not about smart applications anymore, but it's about the digital and green transformation of the cities with the support of technology, which sometimes it's digital, sometimes it's not. So it's a different perspective. It's a different way to see the challenges of the cities. And this also affects how the digital companies, those that develop applications, need also to take into consideration because things now are much more complex, and the audience and the participants in this discussion are much broader. It's not only the city and the provider of the technology, but it's the whole constellation of stakeholders in the city. All these areas, okay, so just to give them some examples to better understand, we can speak about Pori, for example, Finland. It's not, it's an advanced city, not of the high-end cities that we all know, but it's a city that has set as a priority for 2030 to be a forerunner in industrial circular economy. So around this goal, they try to set up their applications and their activities. Their main goal is to attract circular economy companies, and there the digital technologies play a role, but it's a more broader setting than this. So they create a business portal linking to the circular economy city services that they provide, but also at the same time they try to create an environment that it's good for companies of the circular economy and create a business accelerators. And also they give a very strong emphasis on creating the green growth story of Pori. So several elements from different areas that needs to be put together into an effective strategy with technology and digital to play a role, but not always in the front seat. In most of the cases, it's in the front seat of the car, but not always there. So this needs to be understood on how we approach cities. I don't know if I have any seconds left, but we can see also. No, okay, I'll stop there. I'll stop there until we can come again. And
well, thank you very much, Nikos. The next question is going to Professor Jeff French. I have read the book of yours, Social Market and Public Health, and I found this amazing sentence that we are fantastic to count sick and dead people, however it seems that we are less adept to understand their lives. Does this imply that we should focus on the human factor as the heart of the future intelligent cities? Should we invest time and effort to deeply understand what they want, what are their fears, the needs, motivation, obstacles that they face by the people to have a normal life, a healthy life?
Yeah, okay. The short answer is yes to your question. The slightly longer answer is, I mean, I've spent my life trying to understand how we go about influencing people to undertake and sustain behaviors that are good for them and good for their communities and families. So that's my kind of area of interest. And what that kind of study and management of projects has kind of taught me is that new technologies, and there are always, for the last 30 plus years that I've been working, there are always new technologies coming on that we have to kind of, think about how we kind of, use them to enhance social progress and better people's lives. But the technology is rarely the answer on its own. It needs to kind of engage people and work with them. So I'm a big advocate for that. And it's great. It's been great to hear so far this idea of moving from smart to intelligent kind of cities. But my view is, and what the evidence I think tells us, is that that's not enough. We have to go beyond being intelligent, because human beings are intelligent, but they're also really dumb sometimes. And most of the time, they don't engage cognitively with complex issues. So we need to understand the people if we're going to encourage them to take the opportunities and possibilities that are becoming available through things like artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. So for me, it's about getting beyond just intelligent to a situation or a city, region, town, community that's really about engaging citizens. It's actively engaging its citizens and using them as the fantastic resource that they are via technology. The point is not the technology application. The technology application is there to help us create, more satisfied and happier citizens, and collectively happier, healthier, and kind of better society. So what we have to do that, and there are examples in the Healthy Cities programs around the world, is invest in, and people have mentioned it already, partnerships, with all different kinds of sectors, but also with different levels of the community. And to do that, that means investment. Those partnerships are not built and sustained without a lot of research and facilitation investment. So for me, that's going to be a key priority for building and sustaining kind of healthy cities. And a last thought, and maybe we can discuss this more, is that there's a real danger in this agenda, because we know that lots of citizens don't feel empowered. In fact, quite the reverse. They're actually really dissatisfied with the people that are, their leaders, their politicians, and their, representatives. People are not happy about that. And if we view technology, and some citizens will view this as technology of giving more power to the people that are in charge and the people that organize cities, they can view that as a problem, because it's disempowering citizens potentially. So we need to proceed, I think, and again, it seems to me what the evidence tells us, if we want effective, efficient, and acceptable social programs and development, we have to have citizens at the heart of all of that. So the strategy needs to be based on a citizen-centric focus about creating value for citizens and understanding citizens, because if we don't create value, we don't understand them, no technology intervention is going to work. So for me, that's where we need to focus.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. We got the message. Let's move to Tom. Tom Katsoulas, are you ready to answer?
Yes, I would like to continue the discussion that Professor Jeff French started, okay? Because I'm a technocrat. Can you hear me?
So no matter what the question will be, you will continue.
Well, it has to do with continuing what Jeff said.
Okay, we have some years now, we hear about smart cities, and now we are moving to the intelligent one. What are the characteristics or the criteria? Let's say if we would like to classify a city in the list of the intelligent ones.
Okay, I'm going to give you a technical perspective and also answer a little bit what Jeff said, because technology is not the answer to everything.
I will give you 20 seconds more.
Well, no, it's okay, because I have to go to a presentation to about 50 people. Right, smart cities have to have fundamentally 3 layers. The first layer is the technology base of networks, sensors, connectivity, and smartphones, all right? The second layer is basically the applications and data analytics that go above it. And the third one is the adoption of usage because if you don't have users, you don't have smart cities, which is going to what Jeff said, okay? Because users basically have to use the infrastructure, the technology, and essentially in a way that it entices them to be part of the community for the smart city. So in some ways then, smart city is a platform ecosystem. If you want to make it available and efficient in offering all these kind of services, the engagement of the users is very, very important, because without users, you don't have analytics. Without analytics, you don't have the ability to improve, measure, and improve. Obviously, that means that smart cities not only have to have those three foundational layers that we talked about, but they also have to have a social aspect to them, which can be implemented in many different ways. Envision smart cities that there's a Facebook per city, and then the Facebooks connect with one another. The other thing is that the smart city has to be an evolving ecosystem. If you look at where we are today, it's really a vision. I'm talking now from my gut. I'm looking at investments in terms of sensors, communications, and open data portals based on my Kissinger reports and where the investments are. We are in the early stages. Certainly, there's a lot of smaller cities that do pilots, like Trikala, Patras did certain things, smart things or whatever, at least from Greece. And there's obviously bigger experiments in Amsterdam and other cities. But we're not yet at the point that you can have a fully electrified city with sensors, actuators, connected cars, connected healthcare, connected businesses. All these things that need to happen to start optimizing in terms of green energy, in terms of optimizing the time commute of people, in terms of optimizing the stress and all those things. So we're in the early stages. We have a lot of vision. It's good to see people like Dana that essentially bring the policy from an EU level, because we need to have that governance to start. But at the same time, as Jeff said, not only we need to have the technology ideation phase that has started a lot, and it's been an experimental phase, but the investments that need to come in, both in terms of building the infrastructure, the three layers that we talked about, plus adding the social aspect of this so that we can engage the people. Those are investments that have to be committed. They have to evolve gradually. And it's kind of both the top-down and bottom-up. Bottom-up meaning that you build infrastructure, top-down is that you build applications for different services. And ultimately, when you actually accelerate those, you can imagine some sort of a digital twin ecosystem where you can actually view and see how this whole city is progressing, and potentially create connected cities and connected ecosystems. That's the way the evolution will go, but it will require investment both in the infrastructure and the applications, and of course the social networks of the city.
Thank you very much. You spent less time than the one you had on your account. So Harris is with us. If Harris is not with us, I will ask Panagiotis if he likes to provide an answer. Let's suppose that we have done a market survey, and now we have the results on which of the Greek cities are ready to become intelligence, apart from Trikala. What will be the answer?
Only few. I'm not sure that one specifically city could be, but we need to go fast and work all together in order to adjust or to implement an holistic, let's say, plan for the Greek market, because we are very low, very behind of all these initiatives that we listen from Dana. So I'm not sure that except Trikala is another city that is ready to go.
Okay, let me go back to Professor Jeff French. I would like to kindly ask you to elaborate a little bit on the citizens' culture, behavior, interaction to the requirements of an intelligent city. Is technology enough, even if it is citizen-centric?
It's not enough, no. because we need both. And in fact, I'll give you kind of 3 examples of why, culture and understanding citizens and behavior is really important if you want to move towards a smart, empowering city. So one's from the UK, where I'm from. There's, during the pandemic, some academics at King's in London University developed a thing called the Zoe app. Okay, so this was a public science project whereby people fed into the app every day their symptoms, if they had COVID or not. And the Zoe app tracked that. They got about 7 million people to sign up to do this for free. And what the Zoe app turned into was the most predictive, fastest way to track the pandemic in the UK. It outperformed all the government statistical offices and epidemiologists tracking the disease. So for me, that's one example of, and the people that take part, I registered personally, you get feedback every day on what everybody else is saying and what the level of the pandemic was. It helped to inform public policy. So for me, that was a great example of creating some value for individuals and then using citizens not as recipients of or users of technology, but people that are actually feeding that technology. They are the producers of the value as well as the consumers of it. So to do that, we need the people that ran the Zoe app needed to understand what people would value so they would participate and continue to participate. Another quick one from Chennai in India. I had the pleasure of going there a few years ago. They've developed, or they have it's an 8 million people city, huge traffic problems as many developing countries have. And so one of the solutions was to get to install e-bikes that you could take, register for, take out, use, and then put back. So a city, bike program. But virtually nobody was using that system at all. And the reason was culturally, people in that part of the world, their parents had bikes, and they're now getting wealthier. They wouldn't be seen on a bike or even a moped. They want to drive a car. So, without understanding that, it's very difficult to get people to take up the system. So what they're doing now is they're using marketing to reposition those bikes as high-tech, sophisticated. They come from Germany, Western, a desirable way of transport that demonstrates you're modern and hip and cool and technologically savvy. So it's about, repositioning, in this case, technology. And the last one is one of my favorites, and it's from Bologna in Italy. Again, they have a huge traffic problem in the city. So they have a program, you can look it up on YouTube, called Bella Mossa, which basically means well done or good job. And it's about encouraging people to take up active transport, cycling, walking, taking the bus in, car sharing, that kind of thing. And there's an app for that. And if you rack up active transport miles, they give you points. And you can use those points to buy beer, ice cream, or cinema tickets. Now, some people in the public health field said they're terrible rewards. We shouldn't be encouraging people to drink beer or eat ice cream. They should be healthier. But the reason the city used those incentives is because they're the ones that the research told them people would actually respond to and use. So if we could say, okay, rack up some points and we'll give you some, time in the gym. Well, people didn't want that. Okay? So you need to understand the people and how to engage them in the use of this technology. And also with that project, what you can do is pool your points with your neighbors and turn those points into cash, into euros, and give that to local charities that you choose. So there's a social element to that program as well. So for me, they're 3 good examples about understanding the people that you're seeking to engage in technology, using them as a resource to fuel and push that technology along, and using value that they relate to, not value that people in positions of authority think people will respond to. So that's about listening and understanding the people that you're wanting to work with, in terms of citizens.
Great, thank you. If you want Bella Nostra, you may go down to Napoli. I bet it will be better than Bologna. Can I? Okay, so a question to Nikos. Nico, in continuation on whatever we had heard so far, technology is a key enabler. But let's say sometimes I use an example to emphasize a city, a town, is like a factory. There are a lot of different parts working together to make one product. Okay, city is not actually like, but it's, let's be close. There are a lot of things are working in a city which are not interoperable, let's say. You have different suppliers. As you have in a factory, different suppliers, different products, they cannot communicate. You cannot have the full fact, the full picture. So we need to do a lot of things, and there are a lot of data in one city. So you have to do data strategy, data management, risk assessment, to examine ethical issues, to moderate with the different digital platforms which exist, etc., etc., etc. Do you think that technology as a key enabler is enough to drive the transition towards the intelligent city effectively?
Looking at the cities and how they operate, I think they have much more important problems to solve before they be able to effectively use digital technologies. What we saw in ICC is that an example, the existence of silos and limited horizontal coordination among the departments of cities. The thematic focus, you have the ICT department, you have the waste collection and cleaning, lighting, etc., prevents them from being effective on addressing complex problems and challenges, and that actually needs cross-departmental coordination. On the other side of the spectrum, we have seen cities where they have their task forces, they have departments with a coordination mandate around problems and challenges. We saw that these are more effective on mobilizing resources for solving complex problems. And this applies also on how you design, procure, understand the use of the technology within your the city administration, but also at the city level. We saw also that cities with the most ambitious strategies and often the most effective, to be more effective in terms of implementation, are those that manage to mobilize and engage their local ecosystem in the transformation in this process. Those remaining in their own ivory tower often fail to use effectively the technologies. The need of engaging the ecosystem means that change the traditional way that the procurements are happening. You have the city who set the specifications, and then you have the technology providers. That doesn't work in the modern environment when the strategy is complex and the problems that the city wants to solve are complex. What we see as more effective is to see the co-creation efforts that we see in several cases, where the needs are defined together with the stakeholders, not only by the city, but also by those that are going to use and solution. And in that way, several parameters that are critical taken into consideration. And the question then is, are the cities and the digital companies, speaking about Greece, for example, are ready to adopt this type of way of designing and procuring? Do they have the experience to do so? Do they have the skills? And most importantly, do they have the culture to be open in that way and collaborative in that way? So I answered your question with a question, but I think it's quite complex to just say that or this.
Okay. Okay, Nikos. Thank you very much. We have heard so far quite interesting things. As we said at the beginning, the intelligent city is a wide issue, very wide topic to discuss, hours and hours. I don't know if Dana is with us, but okay. Oh, Dana, I have a question for you. As we understand the type of project or the initiatives for the intelligent city, will not be one and it will be long. A project that aims to provide at least one or maybe some intelligent characteristics in the city needs quite a long time for its implementation. And to my opinion, this is not enough to bring a complete outcome in a city. We don't have to forget that every 4 years, the city people, the mayor and the councillors, the council is changing. So what will be the future of the European Commission dynamics on supporting this effort of trying to developing intelligent cities and towns, take into account that all the regions, all the towns, let's say, are not at the same level of culture and capability in the European Union.
Yeah, thank you, Petro. I honestly believe the European Commission and the European Union will continue with all efforts and even enhanced efforts to sustain this support for cities, because the job is not done. The work is not done. And as you say, I fully agree, it takes time. I mean, there is goodwill, there are ambitions, there are strategies, but to take them through the implementation phase and being able to monitor impact and really say at a certain point that, yes, my city has moved remarkably towards the intelligence path. And I believe it's a pathway. I don't believe there will be ever cities that will say, I have done my job, now that's it, I'm an intelligent city, because there are always new challenges, new technologies, new strategies. So I don't believe that this will be an ending story, but the goal here, or the aim, is to have more and more European cities engaging in the right direction. That's how I see at least the issue. And being able to get awareness, first of all, that they need to act in an integrated approach across departments, across the different stakeholders, and develop their future, the future of the city, together with citizens and businesses and across different departments. That's already a step ahead. It's not easy to do. We are facing issues with getting all cities along the board. But I believe what works well, at least what we have seen in the Intelligent City Challenge, is this inspiration. So when we are engaging a number of cities that we call mentor cities, those are the most advanced, let's say, and the more mature in the term of the way they are thinking, the way they are interacting with their citizens, the way they are using technology for this. And we are bringing them in workshops and webinars to speak about their experience. And we see how inspiring this process is for other smaller, less mature cities. So I believe you need to start from there. And you need certainly we need to accompany and to guide cities through the process, but the major, benefit is coming from this awareness raising among the cities and this raising of ambition and willingness to go down the right pathway.
Yeah. Great. I would like to comment that as a compatriot of Jeff says 120 years ago, Lord Kelvin, he said that we can improve what we can measure. No matter what we're going to do, we have to have the obligation to monitor and measure the results, because this is the best way to be more effective. And I do agree with you that you never stop to evolve. As we used to say in digital transformation, is an endless journey. You have a status right now at this moment, but in order to become synchronous and modern, you have to continuously try to evolve and to do things more and more, and that needs time, effort, and money. At that point, I would like to bring in front of you an example from the history of the first, let's say, or they have, I don't know if they have voted to do that, as the first example of smart city or an intelligent community. It is the decoding of the German Enigma crypto device at Bletchley Park by the team led by Alan Turing. This is the first example of intelligent community. I do have a connection. I consider myself being a relative of this action because I had Tony Brooker, Professor Tony Brooker at Essex University as my mentor and professor for 1.5 years. And he was an assistant of Alan Turing. And he gave us more lectures about the Turing machine, a lot, and that was a part of my dissertation also. Okay, but normally we have concluded the round of the questions. We thank you very much, and we thank you, all of you, the distinguished speakers, panelists, participated in this, let's say, event. And we would like to say as a conclusion that, okay, we may not find the solution for the intelligent city and how we are going to implement them in 1 or 2 months. Because, as you know, the Greeks want to do things quite fast. But we have to understand that projects like this needs time. And apart from time, needs long-term planning, culture, and passion to done things and not to done while we are the elected ones in the 4 years. We should have continuation. And this is something which the European Union supports. And there are a lot of times that we need to hear the European Union. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best. And best of all, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for joining us.
Good night.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.